dropped on that cliff, I was terrified. All I wanted was to see you again. To be with you.
Make your plan with someone else's daughter. I didn't carve this place out of the bush to see Jessica run off with the first fortune hunter to come along. You bastard!
Man from Snowy River.
You're out of your class here, Craig. Did you know that Craig is trying to undercut us?
Howdy folks, and welcome to the Spaghetti Theater again for the Spaghetti Theater Review, where for the first time I'm going to review 2 movies in one review, as a gift for my mother's recent birthday. 67, I believe. She's crazy, but I do love her. And I told her that my next review would be something that reminds me of her, meaning a movie that she enjoys that I also enjoy, but never would have seen it as a child if not for her interest in it. And it had to be something that lasted the test of time in my memories as well. A movie that was so good that it burned a permanent memory in my brain forever. And a memory that also immediately reminds me of my mother, of course. And this movie's epic tale was so great that it took 2 movies, separated by 6 years to tell. And also just might be the best Australian-themed Western ever. Sorry, Quigley Down Under, I like you. Even with Alan Rickman playing the bad guy. But once I see that mustache, all I can think of is Magnum P.I. It also may be the greatest romance and love story that I've ever seen in a film that doesn't involve time travel. Obviously, that one would go to Somewhere in Time. Then there's the rousing, epic score. It's so beautiful it brings a tear to my eye when I hear it. It's a wonderful score even without the movie. However, it's an unforgettable soundtrack that makes a perfect movie, usually. So let's jump right into it since I'm covering 2 movies this time. Alright, folks. 1982's The Man from Snowy River and 1988's Return to Snowy River, starring this guy and this lady and a shit ton of horses. Yeah, be prepared, folks. These movies feature every damn horse in Australia. 50% of these movies are beautiful shots of horses, to the point that you'll think you're in a Milwaukee's Best ad. So here we are, the Old West, the Australia chapter. It's nighttime at the Craig farm in the mountains of, Australia, just Australia, where our main character Jim Craig and his dad ponder finding work in the valley, since they're running out of funds.
Notice cooks.
They round up and sell off wild horses mostly. And right off the bat, a huge herd of them stampede right past their farm. All led by this black, wild stallion that's been running free longer than this guy's been alive. And Dad hates this wild, shit-stirring stallion, and even goes to shoot it dead right then and there, until his more reasonable son stops him and reminds him that money exists.
Keep some of them for breeding? Then we wouldn't have to go down and hire out.
So hit that epic score. It's the Man from Snowy River, folks. I would love to ride a horse to this score. So cut to later, as Jim Craig and his dad cut down trees. They're also lumberjacks. Anything that brings in the cash. Today it's lumberjacking, yesterday was rounding up wild horses, tomorrow, the world. Only not for Daddy Craig, because here comes that stampede again. Led by that wild stallion to end his life for him when he's crushed by one of his own logs during the frenzy. And to add to it, his horse ran off with the wild horses.
She ran off with the Brumbies.
I should have put a bullet in that stallion.
Damn it, Mr. Ed, you traitor! Get your friggin' ass back here! Which is naturally devastating to poor Jim, who just witnessed the whole thing. And gives us this classic movie trope response to a loved one's tragic passing. No! So cut to the funeral, where we get to meet this old timer and friend of Jim's now dead dad. He's a gold prospector named Spur, and he's played by acting legend Kirk Douglas, everyone.
There's more to life than death, Jim.
Spartacus! And many other things. He's a nice guy like Jim and his dad, and most people out here surviving in the unforgiving mountains of Australia. All except for these locals who blame Jim for his father's death.
You go down to the low country and earn the right to live up here, just like your father did.
And think he needs to move his ass down to the valley and earn his right to live up here, in the deadly as hell mountains. Even though he wants to stay right here and take over the home he grew up in.
This is my place now. What gives you the right to say you can...
Fuck!
Only no, these guys are dicks and calling the shots apparently. So, cut to Prospector Kirk Douglas's home away from the mine. This awesome looking place, where he gifts Jim with this beautiful horse.
He's yours.
Of whom which Jim falls in love with. I love this horse as much as the score. Thank you, Prospector Kirk Douglas. Spur.
Don't throw effort after foolishness.
As we cut to the local town in the valley, where all the rich folk live and thrive. Like this guy. What the hell? Has the world gone topsy-turvy? It's Kirk Douglas. Again! Only unlike Prospector Kirk Douglas, this one's all clean cut. He's high society Kirk Douglas. And when Jim Craig spots him, he's just as baffled as we are. What the hell? Two of them? So he asks this guy to explain. So he does. He's a rich asshole named Harrison. He buys and sells horses, and is in town today to pick up his latest expensive as hell horse purchase at the local train station. This prized colt, who's immediately freaked out by a dog, causing Jim, the horse whisperer Craig, to step in and help this chap out. A chap who's offended by his unwanted aid. And turns out it isn't even a chap at all, but the lovely and beautiful daughter of high society Kirk Douglas. Jessica.
If I needed your help, mate, I would have asked for it.
And according to the score, Jim immediately falls in love with her. He then gets a job reference from this guy, high society Kirk Douglas's lawyer.
I'll give you a letter.
So cut to Prospector Kirk Douglas, in his dangerous as hell mind, as he bickers and complains about life when this Aussie shows up. An old buddy named Clancy, who he offers some of his awful Prospector stew to.
All I ever get's wallaby stew.
So cut back to Jim Craig, as high society Kirk Douglas gives him a job.
I'll give you a try.
You're in, kid. So cut back to Prospector Kirk Douglas, who brags about his dedication to this mine over the last 2 decades.
You must have dug a trench all the way from California to Southern Australia.
Now I go down, sink a shaft, and we're smack on top of the richest vein.
It's his life. So back to Jim Craig again, who gets to meet the other hired hands. Like this dick, who comes over just to be an asshole to the new guy.
I'm Jim Craig.
Pretty good at shoveling that, aren't you?
I already hate him.
I'll be back later to check on your work.
And he's immediately put in his place when Jim Craig shows off his rope tying skills.
Show me how you did that.
Making this dipshit look like, well, the dipshit he is.
It's called the Tom Fool's knot. You're getting the hang of it. I'll be back later to check on your work.
And now Jim and Jess are even more in love. That's when we get to see what a strong female character this Jessica of the old Australian West is. And none of that overdoing it shit. The real deal, folks. As we get to see her stand up to her sexist father.
Yes, lady. The word become old-fashioned.
It's become an excuse to keep women under control.
You should be thinking of marriage, children.
The well-known cattle breeder has a breeding program for his daughter as well.
Now this is an empowered woman I can get behind. Whoa. Shit. Get back up here, Crispin. It was an accident. I said it was an accident. So in your face, high society, Kirk Douglas.
I don't understand where this rudeness comes from.
So cut to that night in the hired hand's quarters, where dipshit confirms his dipshit status again.
Which bed's mine?
Anyone that doesn't buck you off, boy.
Then they all talk about the soon-to-arrive famous horseman known as
Until Clancy gets here.
Clancy.
He's a horseman.
Ah yes, the great legend known as Clancy.
Clancy's not just a horseman. Clancy's a magician. He's a genius.
That's when Jim Craig mentions that he knows this Clancy.
He and my father were mates.
He's met him. His dad was friends with him. Which they all laugh at, of course.
Bullshit!
You don't know Clancy. Nobody knows the great Clancy. Your dad? Sure he was, buddy. Your dad was the great Clancy of the Australian Old West. Bullshit. So cut to the next morning as the legend himself arrives. The great Clancy. Here on the high society Kirk Douglas plantation. And everyone has come out to meet the legend himself.
You all come out to gawk at him, huh?
Clancy. This guy. Hello, mate.
Not often they get a chance to meet a legend.
And the first guy he says hi to is Jim Craig, of course.
Jim Craig, isn't it?
Because he knew his dad.
He was a good mate.
He was a good mate. So in your face, dipshit, and the other guys from last night, you all look stupid now. So cut to that night in high society Kirk Douglas's fancy-ass dining room, where he entertains the great Clancy, his lawyer, his daughter, and his sister-in-law, where a simple discussion turns into an angry businessman debate in a matter of seconds.
Praise be the lack of capital is all that I can say, gentlemen.
And in the end, high society Kirk Douglas is a sexist and money and power obsessed a-hole. Everyone else is reasonable and nice. And Jim has the last word in that discussion.
Mr. Harrison was just talking of taming the snowy river country.
I think he might sooner hold back the tide than tame the mountains.
Almost, that is. When he leaves, he dumps on people who live in the mountains.
Mongrel quality of the mountain people.
Only lawyer guy is the first to point out that his very own brother lives in the mountains.
I have no pride.
Thus putting to rest the question of why the hell there are two Kirk Douglases. They're twin brothers, not time travelers. Only high society Kirk Douglas is feuding with him, just like he is everyone else. So cut to that night where Peter Dinklage reads from a book, and Jim is informed that he will not be included in tomorrow's little cattle drive.
You won't be going on this, Master Jim. I don't make the orders.
By order of mountain people hating high society Kirk Douglas.
You'll get your chance, Jim.
So maybe next time, Jim Craig, you stay here with my daughter, of whom you're in love with. Only don't bang her. Just get to know her better. Like, for instance, hey, they both know how to play the piano.
Did you play?
Yes. Just a bit.
And both have mothers who have died.
Do you miss her?
Yeah.
He then lets her know she's pretty before bailing the hell out of there in embarrassment.
I bet she was pretty, like you. Got a few jobs to finish before dinner time.
So cut to later. Jim Craig, stable boy. As you wish.
Are you saying you could break this horse?
As Jessica allows him the opportunity to train that new cult that high society Kirk Douglas bought.
If the job's done before he gets back, what can you say?
And also gives him the chance to have a falling in love montage. A beautiful one, too. Exchanging looks of love. Being wacky together. Only love pads the film. And giddy up! Jim Craig did it. He tamed that colt, and high society Kirk Douglas isn't even back yet. And they're officially both in love, as verified by that wild stallion. Kill me that wild stallion, it's just gonna cause more problems for us horse and people. I can't do it, it's too beautiful. Right, Crispin?
You're damn right, you shoot that horse, I shoot you.
Alright, I wasn't gonna shoot the stallion. Anywho, cut to the next day when that very same stampede, led by yours truly, comes stampeding past the ranch. And knowing that his original horse is still riding with them, Jim Craig takes that prize colt and goes after them. Stupidly. Even the colt agrees and sends his dumbass flying over the fence and right into the stampede, where he's trampled. So, ouch, man. He then starts to get up and finds that wild stallion standing over him, in wild as hell mode. When we get another unexpected movie trope that's, well, just hilarious. Seriously, that was the scene. I didn't edit that one bit. It reminds me of that koala scene from The Simpsons. That was also in Australia. Weird. So cut to later on, where Jessica has nursed him back to hell. He's okay and so is the cult. And no one's gonna tell high society Kirk Douglas on it, which he's totally ungrateful for.
I'm not hiding behind the skirts of a bunch of women.
Come on now, Jim Craig, don't be like that. You're the idiot here.
I must remember that next time you try to kill yourself.
So cut to that cattle drive, as high society Kirk Douglas and his crew return. He then tracks down Jim Craig immediately
Where's the mountain boy?
to go round up the straggler cows that got left behind.
Pick up 20 strays we left up on top before those mountain men get their grubby hands on them.
Before they get stolen by mountain losers like you. Now get moving. So he does. Only he stops by Prospector Kirk Douglas's place first to fill him in on all the new shit. Like how he met your twin a-hole for a brother.
I have no pride.
And now works for him. Even as we speak, a matter of fact.
You never told me you had a brother.
So cut to high society Kirk Douglas, who has discovered that someone rode his new colt, forcing everyone to tell him what happened.
Do you very good with horses.
Mountain.
Now wait. It wasn't his fault.
Which pisses him off so much that he fires Jim Craig on the spot. Even though he's not even here, he's out in the mountains rounding up your cows.
He gets off this place the moment he gets back.
Jessica then verbally disagrees with her father and receives this in return.
I won't go!
So eat shit, high society, Kirk Douglas. No one likes you now.
You're as deceitful as your mother.
No one. And I'm assuming the same goes for her deceased mother too. So she takes off in anger, of course, as he questions whether it's even his own daughter.
My daughter? You really believe that?
Okay, for her sake, let's hope that Prospector Kirk Douglas is actually her dad. So cut to Jessica, who's taken her horse into the mountains as this storm starts to approach, which she's totally not prepared for. Unlike Jim Craig, who's doing just fine not that far away. So soon night arrives and she's right in the middle of this hurricane that sends her sliding down this hill and onto a rock. So cut to high society Kirk Douglas, who's now worried as hell since Jessica has yet to return and demands that everyone go out with him to help find her. Even though most of the people just got back from that cattle drive and they're wasted now. So cut back to Jessica, who gets a better look at where she is now that the sun's starting to come up, and screams her head off when she finds that she's trapped on the ledge of this cliff. So wow, did you get lucky when you landed right there? So cut to Jim Craig, who's discovered Jessica's now dead horse. Aw, what happened? The hard rain killed it? Well, it's dead, and Jim starts yelling for Jessica.
Jessica!
Until he finds her trapped on the ledge of that cliff, and uses his horse whip to pull her up to safety. Thank God for this guy. So cut to later, at Jim Craig's camp, where Jessica's kind enough to inform him that he's been fired.
No more working for the old... your father.
Which saddens him, since now he'll never get to see her beautiful, loving, empowered face again.
I miss seeing you.
Only nope, she has news for him. While on that ledge, she had a life-changing experience, believing that she was gonna die out there. It put everything into perspective,
I started to see things very clearly.
making her realize what she truly wanted in life, what was truly important to her.
All I wanted was to see you again. To be with you.
And that was to be with Jim Craig, this guy. And even though he agrees and feels the same, just wants to take her back to her dad.
I have to take you back.
I'm not going back.
Since he is out looking for her and expecting him to return with those stragglers.
There'll be men out looking for you, risking their lives. Anyhow, I've got to get the cattle down.
So business first, I guess. She just professed her love to you.
I have to finish this job.
So they embrace in a kiss. They are in love, folks. So he shows her the wonder and beauty of living in the dangerous, if not awesome as hell, Australian mountains.
1 minute it's like paradise, the next it's trying to kill you.
That's how it can be up here.
So cut to Prospector Kirk Douglas, who's finally lost it and causes a cave-in that nearly kills him, but does reveal the location of gold. So cut to later at Prospector Spur's place, as Jim and Jessica show up, so he can introduce him to his niece.
Spur!
Or maybe daughter. We're not quite sure yet. So she demands an explanation, since he does have a picture of Jessica's mother. Only he wants to celebrate since he just found gold.
I find a little bit of gold and suddenly, after all these years, the relatives turn up, huh?
Jim then leaves Jessica with her prospecting uncle, so he can go round up those stragglers for high society Kirk Douglas. And simply lets Prospector Kirk Douglas take Jessica back home, to Dad, since he is still out there looking for her, which he does kindly. So that night, back at home, Jessica demands some answers from her aunt on this feud between her dad and her uncle. So she spills the beans and tells her the tale.
About 20 years ago, two brothers fell in love with the prettiest girl in the district.
Of how two brothers were battling for the love of her mother, and, loving them both, promised herself to the one to strike it rich first. So, high society Kirk Douglas invested in a horse that made him a ton of money. And old Spur here went into the mountains to mine for gold.
He went looking for gold.
And is only now just finding anything, so he lost. So cut to old Spur, who's taking advantage of the staff.
And you gave me my favorite piece, too.
Oh?
A plump breast.
And sexually harassing them. A lot.
Unless it be tenderloin. Oh!
He looks like Van Gogh again. He'll cut off his ear for you.
This is a woman.
just as Jim arrives with those stragglers. He immediately wants to go see Jessica, but then again so does High Society Kirk Douglas, who also just arrived, and is kind enough to thank Jim for rescuing his daughter.
My thanks to you for my daughter's safe return.
He's still fired, right? So he takes Jim into his study, where he tells him how he feels about his daughter.
I love her. Love? It's a goddamn strange sort of love.
Only High Society Kirk Douglas doesn't agree, and thinks that his daughter deserves better than him.
Take a girl who's been brought up to this, put her in a bark hut, give a spark of manhood in you, you know that the right thing for you to do is to walk away.
Screw you, High Society Kirk Douglas.
I didn't carve this place out of the bush to see Jessica run off for the first fortune hunter to come along. You bastard!
You bastard! I love the way he said that. You bastard!
You bastard!
Alright, you can have her. Shit. You're pissed, I can see that.
You bastard!
You bastard!
You bastard!
You bastard!
That's when Prospector Kirk Douglas comes crashing into the room to get in on this fight. And so if we can see if Kirk Douglas can outact Kirk Douglas. Can it be done, folks? Let the family feud begin. And since High Society Kirk Douglas refuses to just tell his far more intelligent daughter the truth,
Jessica, go to bed.
No.
the aunt, once again, is forced to spill the rest of the beans. So she married High Society Kirk Douglas, because he was the first one to get rich.
Spur gave your mother a wedding present, a young colt.
And being a jealous douchebag, High Society Kirk Douglas even threatened to shoot the thing.
I wanted to shoot the animal.
So she set it free.
Spur saw it running free and he came to tell her.
It was right then that High Society Kirk Douglas walked in on this, got even more jealous, pulled out a gun and shot his own brother in the leg, blowing the whole leg off, which is why he has a peg leg now that he has to walk around on. He's a dick, the end.
Matilda decided to leave.
And because of this, his wife left him and then died during childbirth, giving birth to Jessica.
In a way, she did go of her own accord.
And the twist, that colt that he bought for her, that she set free, is the same wild stallion that's leading that stampede of horses.
He leads the Brumbies.
What a tale! So High Society Kirk Douglas storms off in anger, in the one and only shot to feature High Society Kirk Douglas and Prospector Kirk Douglas in the same shot. That could only be a double, because he actually passes by him. And even Jim won't let Jessica join him now,
I'm leaving too.
since he believes this relationship would never work.
It couldn't work, Jess.
Not now.
You bastard!
So cut to the brothers Kirk Douglas, where it's verified in this split-screen argument that Jessica is indeed the daughter of High Society Kirk Douglas.
Of course she's yours. But you don't deserve her.
So cut to Jim Craig, who gets to beat the shit out of that asshole hired hand guy finally, before he leaves to go back into the mountains, his true home, leaving Jessica behind with her loving asshole for a dad. So cut to later, where, to get even with Jim Craig for beating up his dumb ass, that prick releases High Society Kirk Douglas's colt into the wild. So cut to the next morning, where High Society Kirk Douglas immediately blames it on Jim Craig.
Somebody set him loose. No prizes guessing who.
Just like that shithead wanted. That's why he did it. So he puts out the word to everyone to help him come track down that colt. He loves that expensive ass thing. And demands the assistance of the great Clancy, of course.
Find Clancy? Well, get him. The man's part bloodhound.
So cut to the great Clancy, who crashes Jim Craig and Prospector Kirk Douglas's campfire, informs them on all these new events, and then enlists the help of Jim Craig.
Somebody let Harrison's colt go. There's a mob of us going after him in the morning. I thought you might want to be in it.
Even though High Society Kirk Douglas thinks he did it.
Harrison's blaming you for it.
And you expect me to go back and help him?
So cut to the next day at the Kirk Douglas Ranch, where every hired hand around has arrived to help High Society Kirk Douglas track down his precious colt. That's when the great Clancy arrives. We're all set, folks. Clancy's here, which High Society Kirk Douglas is very grateful for. Then Jim Craig shows up, which he is hateful as hell for.
Get him off my property.
Only the great Clancy says that if you want his help, then he gets to come too.
I want him alone.
So fine, whatever. All he cares about is getting that colt back.
As you wish.
So you're in.
You're right with me.
And even offers a reward.
100 pounds!
And everyone goes after that colt. which has joined that stampede of horses, led by that wild stallion. That wild stallion whose backstory we now know. So cut to pervert prospector Kirk Douglas, who's arrived at the ranch house to, well, be a pervert.
Somebody's got to stay here and look after the women folk, right?
So cut to the hunt, as they've tracked down that group of wild horses. So they all go after them, and the chase is on, calling all horses. They're all here too. The wild stallion, his original horse, the colt they're looking for, every damn one of them. Only this stampede is just too wild for these guys, and they start dropping like flies. All but Jim Craig, who's forced to deal with that prick one last time before, sending him down the river. Literally. Take that, you dick. Back to the chase, where everyone is forced to come to a stop because this hill up ahead is just too steep to ride your horse down. That is too steep for everyone else on the entire planet except for Jim Craig, who, without hesitation, hauls ass down that steep ass hill to this epic trumpet call. I think it's a trumpet, as everyone watches this show off ride that beautiful horse that prospector Kirk Douglas gave to him perfectly and in slow motion down that steep ass hill. Even the great Clancy is impressed. Way to go, man from Snowy River. And he catches up with that herd all by himself, even through the sudden appearance and quick appearance of actual snow. I think this is the only snow in Snowy River movies that I ever see. So Jim Craig, everybody, a master show-off at what he does. So cut back to the Kirk Douglas ranch, where prospector Kirk Douglas has now made home, as everyone returns from that failed hunt for high society Kirk Douglas's precious colt. That is until this guy spots Jim Craig leading in the herd, all by himself, as Jessica watches all of this, now even more in love with him. You showed everyone. She's never wanted your ass more. So naturally, a grateful high society Kirk Douglas offers him that reward.
It's yours.
Which he refuses.
That's not why I rode.
Keep your stupid reward, high society Kirk Douglas.
Yeah.
Right before putting him in his place.
She's not for you.
Jessica can make up her own mind about that.
We got a long way to go yet, lad.
His own brother does too.
Brother, he's a man.
Which is when the great Clancy refers to Jim Craig as
Man from Snowy River.
Hey! That's the name of the movie!
There it is, folks.
So yeah, it's up to Jessica to decide what the hell she wants to do with her life. Got that, Dad? Just like it's up to Jim Craig to decide to leave her right there and return to that awesome ass cabin in the mountains that he calls home. The end, folks. That was The Man from Snowy River, a beautiful film. Only, do Jim Craig and Jessica ever actually end up together? Does high society Kirk Douglas ever get that stick out of his ass?
You're as deceitful as your mother.
Does prospector Kirk Douglas ever get truly rich?
I find a little bit of gold and suddenly, after all these years, the relatives turn up, huh?
Well, the world wanted to know too back in the 80s. So here's 1988's just as good, if not even better in a lot of ways. Sequel, Return to Snowy River. Now, I'm going to assume that the time lapse between the events of the first film are the same as the 6-year gap between the movies, since I don't think they ever actually said. And the first thing we see is that old wild black stallion again, still running free apparently, as it's chased by this group of dicks to Jim Craig's place. Still looks the same, as this shithead aims to shoot the thing dead and BANG! And they cut away. None of our business yet as to what happened, I guess. As we cut to morning and get to see Jim Craig again, our hero, has once again rounded up a shit ton of wild horses and is bringing them in again, as this guy and his kid spot him. And hey, I'm probably the only one who cares, but this is the same guy who played Mad Mike in Tommy Tricker and the Stamp Traveler. It was a movie I reviewed about a month ago, if anybody cares. I'm like one of the only people who's ever heard of it, apparently. Came out the same year as this. Is that kid Tommy Tricker dressed up as Charles Merriweather again?
You're not Charles Merriweather.
Or is Mad Mike just always holding kids prisoner? But wow, I never thought I'd see this Aussie again, but hey, here he is to greet the legend himself, Jim Craig. So they chat for a bit, and that's when we're informed that he actually freed that wild black stallion that he managed to catch in the first movie.
Before I left home, I let that old wild stallion and his mob loose again.
But he still does have that awesome ass horse that Spur, aka Prospector Kirk Douglas, gave him.
He's yours.
That's him, all right.
And now he's back in town to stake his claim in the mountains. And maybe go visit Jessica. Remember her? The woman he's in love with, who's also in love with him?
Harrison, he had a daughter, didn't he?
Jessica.
Right.
See what she's been up to. But not until we get the opening credits with that same excellent score. Hit it! It's Return to Snowy River with even more horses. And horses are such gorgeous animals, I must say. So if you like horse exploitation, my friend, your ship has come in. All against that sweeping score and beautiful Australian landscape. So Jim Craig finally makes it home again. Where this blonde guy is there to greet him since he's been watching after his place while he was away. He's like his Torgo, only not insane. So he brings Jim up to date on what's been going on around here. Like how somebody took a shot at that wild stallion of his.
Okay.
Someone took a shot at your old stallion last week.
Only they missed.
He's all right, back with his mob.
So it's fine, everybody. Don't worry. And apparently that's been happening a lot lately around here. People taking shots at wild horses. These rich valley dipshits going into the mountains and just doing whatever the hell they want. And shooting at whatever the hell gets in their way, apparently, too. Like this asshole did. Anyway, Jim Craig's home now and shit's about to change.
Back for good, Seb.
Again. So let's cut to the valley and check in on high society Kirk Douglas's ranch home and horse enterprise as Jessica comes riding on in, still looking pretty much the same. Still hot enough for Jim Craig anyway, and still a feisty, feminist, strong woman who wants to make her own decisions in her own life. And the second she's inside, Dad comes crashing in to give her the business as usual. And wow! High society Kirk Douglas has put on some weight over the past 6 years and has also transformed into Brian Dennehy. Yeah, he's being played by Brian Dennehy now. And why, you may ask? Well, according to IMDb, Kirk Douglas was willing to come back for the sequel, but only if they would let him direct the movie, which they would not, so he didn't come back and the role went to Brian Dennehy instead. I mean, why Brian Dennehy? I don't know why they went with him. He doesn't even slightly resemble Kirk Douglas, but fine. Brian Dennehy it is. He does play a great asshole, as anyone who's seen the movie First Blood knows. Anyway, he's all hot and bothered that Jessica's been riding around on the horse trying to be a jockey, like she's some sort of man or something.
Now I employ a jockey to do that.
Which she's great at.
I get the faster time.
I want you to change into something more feminine for lunch.
So he hasn't changed, really, even though he's transformed into Brian Dennehy. Yet he does have faith in his daughter and plans on leaving this entire empire of his to her.
Me. Run the place.
After he dies from having a heart attack after getting married to Bo Derek. So cut to the next day, where high society Brian Dennehy is putting on a horse race at his house. And everyone's invited apparently. Except stupid mountain folk, that is. As Dennehy tries sucking up to this doughy banker guy. Cause, you know, power, money, bank, money, high society shit. He needs the bank to back him up so his empire can grow.
I'll drink to that.
He then introduces him to this colonel who's always interested in buying horses, since he's a military man, a possible buyer. So cut to showtime as these fancy shirts parade around and show off their skills. This guy particularly. And if he looks familiar, that's because he's the same asshole who took a shot at that wild stallion. Yeah, that dick. And his name is Alistair, the son of the doughy banker dick guy. Alistair. Yep, he's an Alistair, alright. And he's quite good with a sword, as we get to see him demonstrate, which impresses everyone. Way to go, Alistair. Even Jim Craig is impressed, who has decided to ride down on a new horse. And check this shindig out. Oh yeah, and Alistair also has a thing for lovely Jessica. So it's feud time, folks. So Jim Craig goes looking for Jessica and gets to meet Alistair the douchebag instead, who is instantly a dick to him.
Many old stagers there, I hear. Everyone was invited.
And starts acting like his kind were never invited to this fancy folk fest.
Out of your class here, Craig.
But screw that for now, it's race time, everybody! And Dennehy is quite confident that that colt of his is gonna win. Only doughy banker guy thinks the same of his, so the two make a friendly rich guy bet.
I've got £100 to back that up, Harrison.
500.
Done.
That's a lot of money back now. It's a slow start, but that jockey riding Dennehy's horse pulls ahead and wins the race, making Dennehy the winner. That's when we get to see that jockey riding the horse was none other than Jessica, of course, defying her father again and kicking ass in a man's world again, which pisses Dennehy off, so he fires his original jockey.
You're both sacked.
But is decent enough to at least congratulate Jessica.
Congratulations.
That's when Jessica spots Alistair. Ew, no, move your stupid head over. She's not looking at you. She's looking at Jim Craig. He's back and she is delighted to see him. So fuck off, Alistair. Go Alistair at somebody else, snap, idiot. So he says hello to Jessica.
Hello, Jess. I know it's been a long time, but I've got a start for us.
As Dennehy steps up to tell him that he is never welcome here.
Well, you're not welcome here, Craig. Today, tomorrow, anytime.
So I can see, yep, you're still an asshole even though you're Brian Dennehy now.
Tell me, do you still speak for Jessica, too? I don't argue with drifters.
Yeah, because you would lose that argument, dipshit. So nothing has changed there. As Jim goes to leave only to have to deal with Alistair again. Great, this dipshit. Hate this guy.
You've been away too long, Craig.
Man, I hate this guy. And they almost fight it out right there until a sensible colonel stops him.
There are better ways to make your point, Jim.
So he just leaves. Fuck these high society shitheads. Only before he leaves, he just has to show off his far superior skills. Just to one-up Alistair the scumbag. And it's glorious, too. No sword needed there, Alistair, you bloody Dobby. In your face. And as usual, this only solidifies Jessica's love for him. So cut to doughy banker guy in Dennehy, as he tells Dennehy his big plan to take over the mountains for the benefit of the valley and run off mountain losers like Jim Craig.
Perhaps now you'll understand why we must get rid of that riffraff up there and acquire the mountain grazing areas for the benefit of the valley.
And expects Dennehy to back him up in this. Or no bank help for you in your horse ranch empire.
What you're saying is I support you or I have problems with the bank.
I see you get the general drift.
So cut to this up-and-coming, thriving town, as Jim Craig rides in, and is informed by this reverend that this is the place where Spur, aka Prospector Kirk Douglas's mine was.
Yes, an old fellow named Spur grubbed most of his life away here. And after he died, they found it.
Only he died, and shortly later they discovered the motherlode of gold in the mine. So this became a hot spot. So Prospector Kirk Douglas is dead then, meaning no need to dress up Brian Dennehy like an old prospector, I guess. Damn, I was looking forward to that too. Oh well, you can't have everything, I guess. But what a sad ending for him. He never found that mother lode.
50 feet from his shop.
I hope they at least named that town after him. Spurbury, perhaps? So Jim Craig goes for a drink at this local tavern, where he meets up with that blonde buddy of his, and discuss the valley folks' plan to run everyone out of the mountains.
Yeah, well, we all know they'd like to run us right out of the high country.
So cut to the Dennehy Ranch, where we get to watch him argue with Jessica. Again. About her feelings for Jim Craig. Again.
You're pining away over that drifter, Craig. You're just wasting your time.
He don't like him and wants her to hook up with old Alistair instead.
Alistair Patton.
Or at least someone like him, since Jim Craig is a mountain boy. And you're better than he is because you're a rich valley girl. Same old story. I know, but this one's the best. So they argue and argue about all this.
He could never belong here. You do. Because I don't care a hoot in hell about the Pattons, junior or senior, and you know it.
Well, neither do I.
When all of the time, good old Alistair Patton himself has been listening into the whole damn thing. Bum, bum, bum. He's such a piece of shit. Cut to Spurbury. That's what I'm calling it. What? I'm not gonna call it Prospector Kirk Douglasville, where Jessica has gone against her father's wishes again and tracked down Jim Craig in Spurbury. I love this woman. In your face, Brian Dennehy, fat Mr. Moneybags.
I came to talk to you.
So they walk and talk. She's still madly in love with him.
Couldn't believe it when I saw you again. I want to know why you were away for so long, Jim.
His excuse? Well, he was out chiseling a life for them.
To get a start for us.
Accumulating money so he can start his very own high society Kirk Douglas type ranch. Only less douchey and more like the Lon Lon Ranch from Zelda. Hell yeah! Paradise, folks. And that's when Jessica says the most intelligent thing that anyone has ever said in any of these movies.
Why is accumulating things so damn important?
Right on, sister.
Because I've seen the lack of it, and I don't want that for you.
Shit, Jim Craig. She wants you and money means nothing to her. You friggin' idiot. Take her and go. She then fills him in on how everyone expects her to go for this Alistair douchebag Patton guy.
They've all made plans for me with Alistair Patton. I'm not going through with it, but I can't come up here with you. The Pattons are the most powerful family in the district. If we were together, they would break him.
Not an easy decision to make on her end, but she decides to go back. So cut to Dennehy on the Dennehy Ranch, where he's informed finally about Jessica's little ride to Spurbury to see Jim Craig, and is overjoyed. I'm kidding. He's pissed. Then, back in Spurbury, this Miss Kitty gives Jim Craig shit for just letting the love of his life go like that.
Are you just going to stand there and let her go?
I know, right, Miss Kitty of Spurbury? That's when this afraid of change local doofus warns Miss Kitty off and tells her to just let things be as they are.
Just leave things as they are.
Why don't you just say it straight out? Better for your own interests. Oh, and better for Harrison's own selfish interests too, no doubt you've been told.
Bringing that valley girl into our quaint little mountain man community will ruin everything for everyone and start a land war like you've never seen. Kangaroos all over the place. Only who cares? This is about true love.
Broaden your minds. Have another beer. Have two.
Then, on her way home, Jessica's horse is spooked by that wild stallion. Yeah, and she takes off like a bat out of hell. At the very same time that Dennehy's going after her. Only she's intercepted by the great Jim Craig, who realizes that Miss Kitty was right.
We're not going to mess up our lives doing what other people think is right.
And presents to Jessica a question. A very logical question, too.
What about you? What do you want?
And her answer should be obvious.
I want you.
Durhay, not that Alistair the shitface. Then, right in the middle of this moment, Papa Brian Dennehy shows up to bring Jessica home. Demands it.
Let's go home, Jess.
F off! She's like 30 now, Dad. Cut your losses and go work on Tommy Boy.
Either come with me now or stay here with him.
It's him or me, Jessica. And being given this forced and unnecessary decision, right now, she chooses Jim Craig over his stupid ass.
I want to be with Jim.
So, thank you, once again, Jessica. You really are the best character in all this. Best empowered woman of the Old West ever. Big, beautiful eyes. She reminds me of Savick from Star Trek 3. And Dennehy's response to all this?
Just like your mother.
Hey, a throwback from the first movie.
You're as deceitful as your mother.
Get a new line, Dad.
Just like your mother.
Deceitful as your mother.
You dick. So they're a couple again. Yeah! As they ride back through the mountains. And to his cabin home. With this awesome wide shot here. Even though this is a crappy VHS copy. Sweet. So here again. Looks exactly the same. And now their love can thrive. They embrace and kiss. The end. Roll credits. Awesome. Not. Cut to Miss Kitty's where Alistair makes an appearance. This shit ain't over yet. Don't forget about that fucking dick. Somebody shoot him, please. What's he even doing here? Dressed up like that. Only he has business here. He's here to hire this idiot to do his biddings for him. So cut back to Jim Craig's place, where he's visited by that Colonel guy. Hey buddy, how you doing? This guy ain't bad. He wants to buy horses off Jim Craig instead of that douchey banker Patton guy. And even offers Jim Craig a deal if he can produce the horses. Which he can, of course. That's all he friggin' does. And gets right to work, too. With Jessica at his side the entire time. Aw, true love, folks. Jessica is finally happy.
You've earned it.
And yeah, she's earned it all right. Wild stallion! So cut to Alistair Patton, back in the valley, going on about what a threat Jim Craig is to their horse operation.
Did you know that Craig is trying to undercut us?
And wants to pay him one of those we're serious visits.
Let him know we're serious.
Only this guy doesn't agree with Alistair.
This is stupid and it's wrong.
Way to go, Rando. Don't be afraid of this jealous prick. He's a weasel. Rando stands his ground too, so Alistair insults him.
See you at the debutante's ball.
You will, Alistair?
See you at the debutante's ball.
You will? Is that so? So that means you're going to the debutante's ball too, if you plan on seeing him there.
See you at the debutante's ball.
Well then, I'll see you there, buddy, idiot. So cut to that night, as Alistair and his band of idiots head over to Jim Craig's place to start some shit. Only are interrupted by that stampede of horses again, being led by that wild stallion. Yep, gonna keep doing that. So, stampede! A guy falls off his horse and is killed. And he was like the nicest guy of the group. He might have even been that Rando guy, I'm not sure. Then, that morning, that gutless doofus from before informs Jim Craig of last night's happenings.
Alistair Patton and a mob of his mates ran into that stallion of yours.
With Alistair stupidly getting someone killed. Only no, they're blaming all that shit on him and Jessica. And their forbidden love.
Now those rich bastards use it as another stick to beat us with. She should go back to where she belongs.
We're staying here.
So F off, guys. They're not leaving just because you're a bunch of big pussies.
And you shoot that stallion.
And screw you on that too. He would never shoot that beautiful black wild stallion. And great. Now you made Jessica feel guilty about getting that guy killed.
You mustn't blame yourself.
Even though Alistair's way more to blame for it. So Jim takes off in anger and tracks down that stallion. And its herd of wild horses. And tries to shoot the thing like everyone wants him to. Only he can't do it. Of course, he knows too much about its backstory. We all do now.
Killed his crew. It's now the old stallion.
He leads the Brumbies.
So cut to Alistair, the shit-stirring asshole, who officially hires this dipshit and his buddies to go mess up Jim Craig's horse wrangling operation. Just then, Jim gets home, only to find not Jessica, but his blonde buddy instead, who said that she was gone when he got here. So he takes off again to go find her. Then, back at the Dennehy Ranch, where Dennehy and that doughy banker Dick Patton get into a heated argument after he tries to hire Dennehy to go after his dipshit son Alistair before he does another dumb thing. The argument almost gets violent when he blames Alistair's actions on Jessica.
She lied to him, led him on, played the coquette with him.
Which really sets off the always-on-edge Dennehy, who actually stands up for his daughter and admits she was right, kinda.
My daughter's been the only honest person in this whole affair. We're the ones who tried to twist every advantage out of it.
Way to go, Dennehy. I'm proud of you. He even cuts off ties with this guy for good and pretty much tells him to fuck off in Old West businessman talk.
Here's your loan application. And there's the door.
So he did the right thing. Well, shit. Get lost, you weasel. So cut back to Miss Kitty's, where Jim Craig has tracked down his love, Jessica. She pondered leaving and going back to Dad. But her love for Jim Craig only got her this far. So cut to later, as Jim's blonde buddy is carried into Spur, all bloody and battered, since Alistair and his gang of hired losers raided Jim Craig's place and freed all his horses, trampling poor Blondie in the process. So now Jim is really pissed and goes right to that doofus from before.
Now do we start to fight them?
Expecting him to help now and want to fight back, only nope.
Scores are even. One of theirs for one of ours.
That's your own son.
Oh, so Blondie was his son this whole time? He turned out way better than you, Dad. So I guess Jim Craig is on his own.
No.
So he rides home to change horses and brings out that beautiful horse that Prospector Kirk Douglas gave him in the first movie.
He's yours.
Come on, Dave. For this one.
Saddles up and goes after Alistair and his horses. Hit the theme song. Hell yeah! Right? Yeah. Loving this shit.
Get that a-hole, Alistair. Hate that guy.
I hate him too, Crispin. I hate him too. We can hate him together. Let's go get that asshole. He then spots the herd, and they spot him too.
That's Craig.
Only Alistair feels safe, since Jim Craig's way up there in that steep-ass hill.
There's no way down.
Only even this guy saw the first movie, and reminds Alistair all about
Don't forget who he is. Man from Snowy River.
the man from Snowy River. Which is exactly what he does. Hit that trumpet sound again. They should have used that Aussie thing. You know? As he takes that same horse right down this steep-ass hill. Maybe even the same one, probably. Just like it was nothing. So you're about to get it, Alistair. Now, folks, prepare yourself for something. This next part is why this movie is permanently burned in my memory forever. And even why it's better than the first film. It's hard for me to watch even now, 30 plus years later. But it makes this movie. So he's riding down that steep ass hill again. In epic, slow motion. When, bang! Alistair takes a friggin' shot at him. It hits that wonderful horse, killing it, as it falls out from under Jim Craig and even rolls over top of him. Then back to Alistair and this dumbass, who assumes that he must have killed Jim Craig too.
You killed him.
Only Alistair wants to be sure.
I want to make sure.
Yet is stopped by dumbass who just wants to get the hell out of there now.
Let's get out of it.
So they do, and okay folks, I fucking hate Alistair with a passion now. Just like I did when I was a kid again. It's gonna be so glorious when he's killed for this in the end. Glorious. Like Mel Gibson killing Jason Isaacs in The Patriot. That kind of glorious. I have never hated a fictional character so much. So cut to the aftermath of this horror as Jim Craig wakes up, still alive and okay, and quickly recalls what happened and discovers his dead horse beside him. Shit. And he's devastated.
What have I done?
Almost thought we would get another one of these. Only no. Alistair killed that beautiful horse. God, I hate that guy. Oh, I'm fair. Oh, yeah. I hope he did smash his head repeatedly. No, I got it. Ride him down the hill and then shoot him. Either way, it's gonna be so satisfying watching him friggin' die for it. As Jim apologizes to his horse for this outcome.
So sorry, poor old friend.
And is now truly furious at Alistair, that sack of shit. Then cut to later on, where Jim spots that wild stallion again, who chases after him and then calms right the hell down when he finds his poor dead horse. Jim then uses this chance to tame that stallion, since he really does need a good horse right now.
I need your help.
And it works too. It's like the soul of his dead horse entered the stallion and is allowing him to do this. So he saddles up the wild stallion and it lets him. Only isn't quite ready to let him ride. So he tosses him off the first time and takes the hell. But not for long. Cut to that night at Jim's campfire, where that wild stallion comes wandering back. See, I swear the soul of his horse is now in that stallion. They're one now. He's tamed that stallion, folks. You're fucked now, Alistair. So cut to later, as everyone has now joined forces to go after Alistair and those horses and his band of a-holes. Brian Dennehy, Jessica, Colonel Guy, friggin' everyone.
Well, let's go.
So, just kill yourself, Alistair. So cut to Camp Alistair, as they're forced to hightail it with when that posse of everyone in the movie comes after them. Milwaukee's best. Taste the cool taste of Milwaukee's best. I don't know, I don't drink beer. They're all easily rounded up along with the herd that they stole. Except for that dipshit Alistair, of course, who manages to escape. So Jim goes after him. He has a personal score to settle with this asshole. To the death. That's where he chases Alistair to this dead tree yard. Great place for a final battle. So Alistair pulls out his trusty sword and takes a swing at Jim, slicing his arm open. Ouchie! Feel that? Jim then uses his stallion to knock Alistair off his horse. Then it's hand-to-hand combat time, where Jim punches the shit out of Alistair. Take that. God, I could watch him get punched all day long until he just can't take it anymore. Jim then takes a risk and turns his back to Alistair, assuming that the fight is over, I guess. Only nope. Alistair sneaks up on him with that sword and Jim swings around, punches him in the face, and he falls in this dead tree, impaling himself on this branch. Dead. Thank you, the end. That's how my childhood mind remembered it anyway. Only that's not what happens. This one's a Disney movie, remember? Look at the box cover. Yep, the first one wasn't, I don't think, but this one was released by Disney. That's my guess as to why. It didn't end the way I thought it should. It's the stallion that saves the day and knocks Alistair down a peg, then corners his ass. You got off lucky, Alistair. Shithead. I know Jim Craig's not the type to just kill somebody in cold blood, but couldn't he have just fallen on his own sword or something? No, the dick gets the lid, even though he is an attempted murderer. So Jim just breaks his stupid sword. Take that. Loser. Get the hell out of here, you pile of shit. Run home to your doughy banker daddy. So Jim rides off, then sets that wild stallion free again. Your work is done here, wild stallion, and you deserve to be free. So, wild stallion, it remains. Yep. Excellent! So cut back to Spurbury, where Jessica and her dad reconcile.
I was wrong.
And Dennehy finally sees the errors in his douchey Brian Dennehy ways.
And I was stupid.
We then get to see that wild stallion now has a baby that sort of resembles his dead horse. Jim and Jessica then go back to his cabin and plan their wedding and enjoy their life together. The end! For real this time. That was Return to Snowy River, folks. Thus, closing the book on the Snowy River tale, and leading me into my final thoughts on these two great films that I love dearly. And now Crispin does too, right?
I do! These are awesome. Best love story ever.
Maybe, Crispin, maybe. Next to Somewhere in Time. And watching these movies years later really showed me why I loved these movies as a kid. Since back then, the whole plot with rich people and poor people fighting over horses was kind of hard to understand, and I forgot most of it. What I took away from it all was that love story, and avenging the death of his horse. I wanted that. I wanted to be like that guy. Not him exactly, but my own version of him. I wanted a woman like Jessica, who knew what she wanted and who she wanted, to the point where she was willing to defy everything around her, her rich, comfortable home, and just go after the man she loves.
I want to be with Jim.
Because he loves her just as much. It really is a wonderful thing. It all came down to a woman like that. She wasn't afraid to be a man and remain a woman at the same time. She was a great character. I love her. Well-written character. And I never saw these two actors again either. I know they did other things. Imagine if they did a third one, so we could see them living together in their 60s. Still in love. They could call it Finding Snowy River. The final thing I want to talk about is the epic death of that horse scene. You see, the first movie didn't have stakes like that. No real villain to hate like Alistair. Then actually killing off that horse who was actually a character in itself at that point. And a way better character than Alistair. Again, I could watch him get shot and rolled down a hill all day long, and I wouldn't feel anything but satisfaction. Yet watching that horse get killed for no good reason was awful and still haunts me to this day. Fuck you, Alistair. That's all I gotta say to you. You really did get off a little too easy, attempted murderer, horse killer. However, on a sad and maybe even stranger note, while researching this movie, I found out that the actor who played Alistair an Australian actor named Nicholas Eady, was sadly found dead in his home only back in January of this year. So may you rest in peace, Nicholas Eady. You were excellent at playing that piece of shit. Wow, I'll never forget you, man. Rest in peace. Because I know, hopefully, he wasn't an actual dick like his character. He was just an actor playing this guy. And with that, I'll end my look at the Snowy River movies, which did go on to have a TV series in the 90s, I know, called Snowy River the McGregor Saga. But I never saw it. I also want to wish my crazy mother a happy birthday again. And thank her for having the family watch these movies when I was a kid. Because I would never remember them the same way. And they wouldn't have had any effect on my life if I had just watched them for the first time yesterday. But they followed me all the way into adulthood, with the unique perspective I have on it now. All thanks to my mother's particular taste in movies at the time. Now she just watches Medea. I ain't gonna review a Medea movie. So as usual, a big thanks again to all of my subscribers and comment leavers. Adios for now, folks, and I'll see you at the theater. Again, you have a ride home, Crispin. Alright, see you there.
Bumba 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 Crispin. Bumba 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 bum. It's a Crispin time. Bumba 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 Crispin. Bumba 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 bumba. It's a Crispin time. Yeah! Woo! I'm fine. I'm okay.